So I've always kind of wanted to do one of these videos, a what's in my camera bag video, and I've kind of struggled to put this one together because, I mean, every time that I travel or every time I go somewhere, I bring different stuff. There's never really been one set of specific things that I carry around in my camera bag, but I think I've kind of come up with a pretty good list of things that I think anytime I am going to go on these short trips in the future, this is what I'm going to bring along. Now to start, let's talk about the bag. Now, camera bags are one of those things that I never really like spending money on, and just bags in general I've never been super excited about. But about 8 months ago I got sent this. It's the Brevide something or other. I'll put it on the screen. It's a really nice little camera backpack, and it has a decent amount of space in it. It's not giant, and it's not necessarily small either. But out of all the camera backpacks I have, it's definitely the smallest. For example, when I'm going on productions, I'm bringing something like this, a much more substantial, hard, this is like a metal lined case by Porter Brace. Fantastic bag. But today we're talking about a travel kit, something that I can just take on a plane or throw in the back of a car when I'm going on a hike, stuff like that. Now the bag itself is incredibly versatile, right? It's got a front pouch on the front, which you can keep paperwork or like small little accessories. It then, right behind that, has access to the main camera compartment, which is in here. We're going to talk about that in a second. Again, you got another pouch on the top. This is where I basically take any clothes or chargers that I want to take with me. Just an extra sweater to keep warm, something like that. On the side here, as you can see, I've got my switch pod. It's just a little tripod that I can use to vlog with. You could put a water bottle in here, or a gimbal. A small gimbal would fit on here just fine. And it's got a little strap here on the side that allows you to just sort of tighten that in. And that's just not going to go anywhere, so that's super handy. On the other side here, you have access here to the inside, and if you keep your camera here, you have quick access to your camera without having to take the camera bag all the way off, set it down on a table, and access it that way. The only other thing I believe that it has is on the back here. It's got this really small pouch right here, which is about the size for a wallet, or I use this for my passport when I was traveling back home recently. Overall, I think it's a really great little backpack. They sent it to me about 8 months ago, and like, it was one of those things, I was going to make a review about it immediately, but a backpack has to hold up over time. There's no point in me receiving this and then recommending it to you guys, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later it breaks and a bunch of you have already bought it. So it's a little pricier than I've typically gone for with backpacks, but actually it's not that bad compared to a lot of the competition, and it has held up so well. It looks exactly the way it looked whenever I got it 8 months ago. It's received a ton of use. It's been in the rain, the wind, all that kind of stuff. So definitely do recommend this thing. It's been really, really great and holds a surprising amount of stuff. But let's crack it open and we're going to talk about all the gear that we have inside it. Now this bag opens up in two main compartments, okay? So on this front part, you've got a big pouch here that will carry some accessories that we're going to get into in a little bit. And then underneath, we got plenty of space down here for lots of camera gear. Now my A camera that I'm going to take pretty much everywhere I go is this. This is the Sony a6700, and it's got the Tamron 17-70 on it, which is a fantastic lens. I haven't made a video about this yet, but I do have one coming. It's a 17mm to 70mm zoom lens at f2.8. Now that equates on full frame to like 25 to 105 f2.8, and it's also image stabilized. So these cameras have great stabilization in them already, but add that with some lens stabilization. Unless you really need one, you're not going to really be using a gimbal. And I don't really have space in this camera bag for a gimbal setup, so this just does it for me. Now my B camera is a little interesting, okay? So currently in here I have the Sony ZV-E10. Again, for the same reason as the first one, this is just a very popular camera to use for YouTube videos. If I'm wanting to make a YouTube video about a lens or a camera, it is usually around Sony APS-C cameras. That's what a lot of my viewership want to see, and they're also much more affordable than the full frame options. And I really want to try and help educate people how to get the highest quality video for the lowest amount of money, and that usually requires going for either really old cameras or APS-C cameras. And this camera is just incredibly popular. So this is kind of one that I'd take with me for video work and for YouTube stuff. So the Sony a6700, I always have this zoom lens on it. It's just incredibly versatile, does everything that I need. For the ZV-E10, I have two lenses, and these are two lenses from Sigma. They're the Sigma Contemporary series, and that's the 16mm, which is a fantastic vlogging lens, and the 30mm, which is a great portrait lens, or something a little bit more compressed. These two lenses will basically do everything that I need them to, especially if I'm filming in 4K, if I need a little bit more reach. With the 30mm, which is like a 50mm equivalent roughly, I can crop in a little bit farther. And these two lenses really cover everything that I need. And these open up to f1.4. So if there's a situation where I'm needing to film low light, or I just want a prime lens instead of a zoom, I use these. But most of the time, I'm going to try and film everything on the 17-70. Now the ZV-E10 is the one that I carry around with me if I'm doing YouTube videos or more video work. So if I want to do photography, I replace the ZV-E10 and those two lenses with this. This is a Sony a7 III. This will just take up the same amount of space in the bag. It's a nice small little camera, and it's a little older, but it's a phenomenal photography camera. And the two lenses that I take with me are the Sony 20mm f1.8. I think this is a fantastic wide angle lens. I really don't shoot any wider than this, but again, with a full frame camera, you can crop into Super 35 mode. So this acts as a 20 and as a 30mm. So that just works great. I love using that feature. So if I need a wide angle, this serves me that purpose. And then the other one that I bring with me is actually the Sony Zeiss 55mm. Now this is like one of Sony's oldest lenses for Sony full frame cameras, but it is an incredible lens. I definitely encourage you to check this one out. I haven't made a review about this one yet, but if you're interested in looking at like a 10, 12-year-old lens, this is a phenomenal one to go for. I think Henbu on YouTube has lots of stuff about this lens, and it's just fantastic. But again, I only take these with me if I'm doing photography over video, which isn't very often actually. So, you know, if I want to do photography, I bring these. If I'm just doing YouTube videos and videography stuff, I take the ZV-10. Now next in this bag, beside the lenses, we have this. This is a little shock mount for the Rode VideoMic NTG. I take these apart because honestly, when these are connected, it's just kind of hard to fit in a camera bag. It just takes up a lot of space unless you do take it apart, because otherwise you've got to set it sideways and it's just kind of annoying. So I just take it apart. It's easier to fit in the bag. But this is the Rode VideoMic NTG, and it is an incredible microphone for anything, really. You can just plug this straight into the camera, and it does a fantastic job. I really, really do enjoy it. And I really do think it's worth spending a little bit extra money on audio than you might think. If you're going to spend $1,500 on a camera body, you really need to spend a couple of $100 on a decent microphone that's going to help you get the best audio out of it, because what's the point in having great video and terrible sound? That's just not going to be very beneficial to anybody who's watching your content. So this is the main microphone that I'm going to be using. Great little microphone. Can't say enough good things about this. If you're looking for a strong microphone, this is definitely going to be the one. So this last little section in the middle just has a few accessories. Firstly, in this case, this is the ZG Cine. This is a little case that houses the Rode Wireless Go 2s. They're a great audio system. They're not the best one. There's new ones out that are going to be better than this, but this is one that I have, so I'm going to use it. And it acts as a charging case. It also has enough space for cables and sort of windscreens, all that kind of stuff. So I can keep all three charged, and it's got one USB-C port in here. This is just incredibly handy. You got one port that will charge all three things. Otherwise, if you just take them on their own, you got to charge all three, and you got three different cables. It's an absolute nightmare. This thing was a fantastic purchase. If you have the Rode Wireless Go 2s and you've been looking for something like this one is fantastic. Really great option out there. Next, I do take with me 3 external batteries. These I can just use to charge different things. I can use them to charge and power the cameras if I want to shoot for a longer period of time, or just to recharge things as I go. I really can't recommend these style of batteries enough. And there's another accessory in the front punch that will make more sense of these in just a second. Okay, the last 2 things in the base of this camera bag are, I've got this thing. This is by Nightcore. This is a little it's basically a rocket blower, but electronic. So you just hold this button, and it blasts a lot of wind, and it's very noisy, but it's really great for just cleaning things. So like if you've got dust all over your camera or on your lens, you can just use this as a little rocket blower. It's got a little brush that pops out the top that you can use to clean things off. A cleaner is always just incredibly handy. And last thing in this main pouch is this. I love this thing. It is a fantastic little accessory by PGY Tech. I think it's called the Create Mate. I've got a whole video about great accessories for the Sony ZV-E10, and this is on it. But it's basically an SD card holder that also acts as an SD card reader. There's just 2 products in one, in a really nice little case that fits really well in your camera bag. Okay, next let's talk about some small accessories that I keep in this front pouch. So again, this is only taking up the bottom half of this bag so far. In this front pouch, you got a handful of little pouches here that you can keep sort of odds and ends in. Now, one thing that I take with me almost everywhere is a little small rig multi-tool. If you've ever worked on rigs or cages, a little multi-tool will never go wrong. It is so handy to have in your camera bag, but I'm not going to spend much time on that. Obviously, no matter where you go, you're going to want to bring spare batteries. So I take 1 or 2 spare batteries for each camera. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but typically whenever I'm traveling and just traveling light like this, I'm really not going through a whole lot of battery life, especially with 2 different cameras. and especially the a6700, the battery life is great. Sony ZV-E10, the battery life isn't good, but I typically have sort of trained myself to be pretty conservative with the amount of battery life that I use, so the camera is only on if I'm filming or if I'm taking pictures. The moment I stop recording, I just turn it off, and it helps save plenty of battery life. So next we got the classic Samsung T5, 2 terabyte hard drive, takes up no space in your camera bag, and basically at the end of every day, I go back to my apartment or hotel room, wherever I'm staying, and I will just dump all of the footage onto a hard drive. So if I don't have my main hard drive with me, I at least have a backup. I try not to delete things on the SD cards unless I need to, so this just has a backup of all the footage in case I need it. One other thing I take with me are ND filters. So here I just have a pair of ND filters by Freewell. They've got these hard cases, which as you can tell, I have needed because they are scratched to pieces. So I'm glad that has not hit the lens or the glass in the front of these. But these are fantastic. Freewell make incredible ND filters. I have the ones that are a sort of blend of ND and mist. The 2 to 5 stop and the 6 to 9 stop. They're really affordable for the standard of glass that you get. They're not as expensive as the Peter McKinnon ones, but they're not quite as cheap as something like the KNFs. I think they just land really well in the middle, and they're about $100 a filter. But these are so handy as a videographer. I've always regretted forgetting to bring these. Never regretted buying them in my life. So can't recommend these anymore. And then the last thing in this bottom pouch are just 2 of these. These are small little NPF battery plates that you can attach to the top of a camera. I've put like a NATO rail on top of this because I basically have this attached to the top of my ZV-E10 at all times. I just have it sitting like this. So what you can do with these is you can take like short little cables, like a little USB to USB-C, plug this into your camera. You can take your NPF battery that I have in the bag and just put that on top. And this might look kind of silly. I know it's not like the cleanest look of all time, but this will extend the battery life by hours. This is just going to send power delivery straight to the camera, and will keep the camera charged up for a long time. And that way I don't need to carry like 8 of these small little batteries that the ZV-E10 has. This thing is really small and doesn't do a whole lot. So rather than carry 8 or 9 of these around that I have to change every 30 minutes, it made more sense to me to just carry 2 or 3 of these batteries, and I can stick this on top of the camera. I can do it on both cameras, and I've got spares, and I can even use this to charge other devices. So let's say my Rode Wireless goes die, I can actually just plug this into the charging case, charge up the case while I'm using them or whatever I need to do. They're just incredibly versatile. They act as a battery bank, but are also just fantastic for any videographer to have because you'll always have some piece of equipment that runs on these style of batteries. So I got about 15-20 batteries of this style just sitting around the studio, and they're always so handy to have. So there we go. I've never really made one of these backpack videos before, like what's in my camera bag, so let me know what you think down below. What do you think I've missed? Because for me, whenever I was planning this, I kind of thought there's 4 main things that I need anytime that I go anywhere. That's camera, lenses, good audio, and power, right, batteries. So realistically in my camera kit, that's all I brought. I've got my switch pod on the side, but I didn't bring a gimbal. I don't have a drone in there. I used to pack drones all the time, and then I just never use them, and they take up so much space. I was like, I just don't really use them anymore. And if I do want to bring those things, I can always just stick them in the top compartment. But for me, a more minimal set of stuff really serves the purposes great. But I want to hear from you. What's one piece of gear in your camera bag that you could never live without? Especially if it's something that's not on my list, because chances are I'm probably going to want to check it out and pick it up. But I want to hear from you down below. Drop a comment down there, and if you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button. It really helps with engagement, lets people know that you're enjoying the video or that I'm doing okay. It helps me out. And if you're willing, I'd really love it if you'd hit the subscribe button as we continue to build this channel. We're approaching 4,000 subscribers at the moment, which is kind of wild. I never really thought I'd get there, so thank you. If you've been subscribed since the start, I love you. I really appreciate all of you for watching this, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.